How's it going, Giants fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Anthony Rivardo, following a disappointing game against the Dallas Cowboys. We never like losing to Dallas, and this one was ugly on all accords, and I'll give credit to Daniel Jones where it's due. He played a hell of a game. He got up after, 29 pressures or something like that? He was pressured in the 20s. He was sacked 5 times. The offensive line, I've seen Swiss cheese with fewer holes in the offensive line look today. Evan Neal gave up, I think, 3 or 4 sacks tonight. This is a game he will want to forget very quickly. And Dallas they were putting pressure with 4 pass rushers. The Giants could not get any pressure against Cooper Rush and a really, really spotty offensive line for Dallas with Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari. Cooper Rush looks solid, honestly. He was throwing really accurate passes. He was managing the team pretty well. But DJ, man, I got to give him credit. He was running the ball well. He was extending plays. He was maneuvering in the pocket. He was making throws downfield. This might have been one of the more encouraging performances I've seen from Daniel Jones in his career up to this point. So I'm happy about that. But wow, I mean, the offensive line, guys, this is a problem. It really has been since the start of the year. It hasn't been good. Andrew Thomas has been good. Everybody else has been bad, and not even just bad, just god awful. I am very concerned about this the rest of the year. I mean, if one guy goes down, you're in further trouble. And Anthony, what's your impression of this so far? We'll talk about the offensive line first because, I mean, what we saw tonight was college level stuff, high school level stuff. This was PV level shit. I don't even know what to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was an utterly pitiful performance from the New York Giants offensive line on Monday Night Football. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence really had his way with Evan Neal for the majority of the first half. Eventually, the Giants caught on. They started to chip, started sending some tight ends and running backs over in DeMarcus Lawrence's way. But in general, man, Evan Neal, real struggle of a performance for our first-round rookie. I know, it's very early on in his career. It's only the third game of his career, so we got to give him time to grow, but he was a complete and utter liability for the New York Giants offense in tonight's game. He killed a bunch of drives. I don't want to harp too much on the rookie and really just drive the point home because, he's a rookie at the end of the day. It's only his third game, but you can't get by with performances like that on the offensive line from any position, and right tackle is a very important position to play. Evan Neal is going to need to be better for the home stretch of this season. Other than that, I mean, Mark Lewinsky, we all saw that viral clip that went crazy on Twitter of him just getting thrown 5 yards backwards by Micah Parsons. Credit where it's due. The Dallas Cowboys defense played a hell of a game. They had a great pass rushing plan going into the game. They blitzed well, and they had Daniel Jones on his toes the entire game. I agree with you. I think Daniel Jones turned in a solid performance. I think that all things considered, how much he was pressured, how many times he was sacked, he played well given the extenuating circumstances. But the New York Giants cannot win football games if that is what the offensive line is putting onto the field. If Daniel Jones is being pressured 20 plus times in a single game, do not expect the New York Giants to walk away with a victory. 5 sacks, that's 5 drive killers, basically. That's unacceptable. The New York Giants aren't winning games if that happens. And unfortunately, it happened tonight. DeMarcus Lawrence and a bunch of these Dallas Cowboys players, they basically just, like I said, had their way with the New York Giants offensive line. This is something that needs to be fixed immediately if the Giants want to turn this thing around and get back to their winning ways, basically, that they started the season off with.
I mean, look, the team looked terrible all around. There were only really 2 players that stood out to me today, and it was Daniel Jones and it was Xavier McKinney who made a couple of big plays, one of them being against CeeDee Lamb in man coverage downfield. That was one of the bigger moments from Xavier McKinney. But as you mentioned, the offensive line, just if we're going to go down this road, Daniel Jones, I mean, you could forget about his progress. You can forget about him even being a potential future of this team. This offensive line, right now, in my opinion, the Giants need this offensive line to suck now so they can be better next year when, I mean, expectedly, they'll probably go out and get a new quarterback because Daniel Jones cannot grow. Nobody can grow in this, right? It's like putting a plant in a pot and not putting any soil in it. There's no way it's going to grow. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what's happening for Daniel Jones right now. There's no way he can make progress with this. He was running for his life today, guys. I mean, and I'm just throwing it out there because I think, like, he played well enough for me to notice, and he looked good in the pocket. He was making moves and he was running the football. He finished the game with 79 yards on 9 carries with a long of 17. I mean, he threw for almost 200 yards. He had an interception at the end there, but I'm not gonna count that against him. Again, 5 sacks, 27 pressures. And at the end of the game there, let's talk about the wide receiver position, because that's one that's falling apart at the seams, dude. I mean, Kenny Golladay, he got on the field for like 5 snaps. One of them was a big drop on third down. I mean, the guy is useless. 17 million per season, useless. You can't offer anything. Sterling Shepard looked like he tore his ACL at the end of the game. MetLife turf strikes again. I mean, losing Shep right now, that's a huge blow. I mean, he's like one of the only guys I actually trust in that unit. Richie James is now our wide receiver 1, guys. Kenny Golladay he's fucking toasted, man. They're going to trade him or they're going to bench his ass. He is not contributing, and he's not going to contribute after what he did today. How is Brian Dable going to trust him when he can't catch a pass wide open on third down and make something happen for his team? Like that, I mean, any opportunities he's going to get in the future are purely going to be, are only going to be happening because Sterling Shepard's out and they just need him on the field. They just don't have enough freaking bodies anymore. David Sills, he looked okay. 2 catches, 20 yards. I mean, he didn't really do anything. Richie James, again, like probably looked like our best receiver. Daniel Bellinger had 4 receptions for 40 yards. So, shout out to him. He looked a little bit better in the receiving game, and Saquon had 4 for 45. This team, I mean, I heard they were going after Cole Beasley. I heard that, Brian Dable wanted him. I think Mike Florio of Pro Football Network reported that. So, this is a team that obviously needs wide receiver depth. They obviously need more talent. I don't know how they're going to get it. Maybe Alex Bachman comes back and makes an impact immediately. I would not be surprised if they signed him tomorrow after Sterling Shepard's injury. But this is probably, guys, that was probably the last game we saw Sterling Shepard play as a Giant. So appreciate that for a second. He's been with this team for a long time. He's one of the only guys that's been here since 2016 when they actually made the playoffs. This is he's done with this team probably. He's on a 1-year deal. He's out probably for the rest of the year if this injury is significant. We desperately need Wanda Robinson back. The offense is in shambles. Look, it doesn't matter if you have a modern scheme if everybody around it sucks, right? The offensive line is shit. The wide receivers literally can't catch. They had 15 drops today. The tight ends are young. I like Daniel Bellinger, but he's just young. You can't do anything here. Saquon Barkley is great, but all they do is just commit to stopping Barkley, and then your offense is screwed. You're done. The defense is trying their best, but we saw what life is like without Leonard Williams today, and it's not good. The Cowboys ran all over us for 176 yards and a touchdown. Pollard had 105 yards on 13 carries. The defense was picked apart. Cooper freaking Rush. Who the hell is this guy? Came in here and threw for 215 yards and a touchdown with a 98 quarterback rating. CeeDee Lamb at 87 yards on a one-handed catch in the end zone, which was a sick catch, by the way. But what are your thoughts on this wide receiver group right now? Kenny Galladay's role is clearly diminished. He's pretty much not useful. Where do you go from here with Sterling Shepard being injured now?
I think it's a really tough situation that the Giants are placed in. I hope and I pray that this isn't Sterling Shepard's last time suiting up for the New York Giants. I hope that this injury just looked worse than it was. I know it's very unlikely that is the case, but man, Sterling Shepard is just a player who you want to root for. It's hard not to love that guy. He's a tremendous talent. He's a tremendous person off the field. It sucks seeing him just continuously going down with significant injuries, and it appears that once again, that's what's happened, and it's really, really heartbreaking if you're a guy that just roots for the Giants or roots for Sterling Shepard. It's very unfortunate to see. Where do you go from here? It's tough to say because Kenny Golladay is basically a walking dumpster fire. I mean, the dude can't even catch a simple third down curl, it's just a comeback route, basically a comeback. And he just drops it. He had a chance to make an impact in this game. He was given an opportunity. He said in the locker room, I should be playing regardless. Okay, well, if you should be playing regardless, then you catch a pass on third down, 2 yards short of the sticks. You better catch that and at least fight for the first down. He just dropped it right off his chest. MetLife was booing him. I was booing him from my couch. And you know what, dude? I think we've seen enough of the Kenny Golladay experiment. This guy clearly just came here to cash in, and that's pretty much it. He has not put the effort in. He doesn't play up to the performance level that he played in with Detroit. I don't want to blame Daniel Jones for that because I think Daniel Jones played a solid game. He put that one right on Kenny Galladay's chest, and Kenny Golladay dropped it. So what do you expect Daniel Jones to do there? Daniel Jones, I thought, played a really great game. I thought he delivered the ball accurately with precision. I mean, that one throw that he had where he was falling away, that was a Josh Allen-esque pass on the right sideline. I believe it was to Richie James. I'm sure you all know what I'm referencing. I mean, Daniel Jones played a good game, man. You can't blame him. But Kenny Golladay just continuously going out there and stinking up the football field, you can blame him for that. That is his fault. I think that David Sills played a decent enough game. I think he was solid. But listen, the Giants are missing something on offense. First of all, the offensive line, we already talked about that. But second of all, they are missing a wide receiver, a true premier reliable wide receiver, and they don't have it, especially not now with Sterling Shepard likely leaving the lineup for a significant amount of time. If maybe Kadarius Toney can go ahead and finally get healthy and see some playing time, maybe he can be that guy, but do we trust him to stay healthy? I don't at this point, Alex. I don't know. It's a really tough situation. The Giants are still 2-1. They have a winning record. I don't want to be too negative. We're going into another winnable game here in Week 4 against the Chicago Bears. That's a game where I feel like the Giants can absolutely bounce back and get themselves a win against Justin Fields, who's been really struggling, and the Chicago Bears, who have already dealt with a number of injuries. So I don't want to be too negative here, but tonight's performance was one of those where you say, okay, are the Giants contenders or pretenders? Tonight, they look like pretenders on prime time, and we're going to hear that from the national media. Absolutely. But I will say, like I just said, I think there is an opportunity to bounce back there against the Chicago Bears. But the only way that the Giants do end up bouncing back is if the offense actually starts scoring touchdowns. Graham Gano cannot keep netting 9 to 12 points per game. That is freaking ridiculous that we keep relying on Graham Gano to turn in 3 to 5 field goals per game. The Giants are not going to keep winning games if they keep settling for field goals. 7 points is worth a whole lot more than 3 points. And in the grand scheme of things, 3 points, it really ain't worth that much. Graham Gano, he won me my fantasy game tonight. Shout out Graham Gano, netting those 2 51-yarders. But he didn't win the New York Giants the football game because the New York Giants didn't score enough touchdowns. Go look at the stats. How many trips did the Giants have in the red zone today, Alex? Zero red zone trips. Their one touchdown was a breakaway run from Saquon Barkley from 36 yards out. They had 0 attempts in the red zone. You do not win football games if your offense cannot score touchdowns. You cannot rely solely on one amazing superstar running back to rip deep runs and one amazing kicker to rip deep kicks. That's just not how you win. Get your ass in the red zone. Get your ass in the end zone. The New York Giants, this is not sustainable winning football. I understand they grinded out a couple of tough, ugly wins in weeks 1 and 2. Week 3, it got ugly. They couldn't grind this one out because this isn't sustainable. You can do it every now and then, but you cannot rely on these types of games to be your winning formula over the course of an NFL season. The New York Giants, if they really want to turn this thing around and prove that they are worthy of having this winning record and worthy of keeping this winning record, they need to start scoring some freaking touchdowns, and they need to play some much cleaner and better football.
Yeah, I think that was well said. I think really you need Leonard Williams back on the defensive side, and you need Wanda Robinson back, right? I mean, Wanda Robinson's a future piece of this team. This is a guy that the Giants, the new brass, brought in here to help this squad. He's going to be incorporated. He's going to be heavily used once he's back from this MCL sprain, hopefully maybe next week. And we can start feeding him reps and getting him the ball and really getting him accustomed to the NFL game, because we're looking at the future here, guys. I mean, the fact that the Giants are even competitive right now is mind-blowing to me. Their roster is shit. If you look at it on paper, there's holes everywhere. Left guard, center, linebacker, CB2, like everywhere there's holes. You could even say quarterback is a hole. You could say half our entire receiving core is a hole now, like without Shep and Galladay being a piece of trash. Like, this is not a good situation to be in, but I will tell you what, because of how good the coaching is, the Giants remain in games. They lost by a touchdown today. They won the first 2 games when they should have lost. They should be 0-3, like just based on their roster alone, but the coaching has put them in a spot to at least be competitive, which makes me believe if they have talented players on the roster, they can actually be a good team in the future. It's just the offense right now, man. Like, I don't trust Kadarius Toney to be healthy. That's like the last thing I can trust right now. I mean, I can't trust the offensive line. They're giving up. I mean, Evan Neal was destroyed. Mark Lewinsky was annihilated by Micah Parsons today. He was absolutely destroyed by Micah Parsons. Andrew Thomas played well enough. Definitely not one of his best games, but he definitely was one of like the guys that I was like, okay, at least his side isn't being destroyed every play. Evan Neal was just giving up sacks like it was fucking water out there. It was like a lemonade stand. It was like he can't be doing this, man. It's just, I know he's a rookie, and obviously he's developing, and I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's going to get better over time. But going through these growing pains right now, we knew this was going to happen. This was a huge reality check for us. I think we were flying a little bit too high after the first 2 games, and I think that, justifiably so. We were very excited because 2 wins is a lot more than we've had in the past, and we were seeing some consistent success. This is a check. This is the first year of a rebuild under a new management. We've been rebuilding for like almost a decade now, but I am optimistic that we are headed in the right direction. Again, the health of this team remains a problem. I don't know if it's the MetLife turf. I don't know what's going on. But I mean, Sterling Shepard, I feel so bad for the guy. That looked like a really serious injury. Hopefully it's not. But if it is, man, my heart goes out to him. It's just, it really sucks to see him go down consistently every single year with a significant issue. It's just awful, guys. But I'd love to hear perspectives below in the YouTube comments. This definitely was demoralizing, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm not optimistic about the future. We lost by 1 score to a team that's been rebuilding for like 2 years now. You know what I mean? Mike McCarthy's been there. Like, they've been building. They have a very good pass rush. They've been trying to situate their offensive line. Like, they have good receivers. Their team is better than ours on paper, and like they're still not very good. I think the Giants are headed in the right direction. We're competitive. We're winning games, even though like maybe we shouldn't have. So I'm feeling okay. I'm not going crazy right now. I am gonna say it was an ugly performance, and I think the Giants should have played better, especially at home. There was a couple. The refereeing tonight was some of the worst I've ever seen. By the way, on both sides of the ball, they were missing calls left and right. It really was just ugly all around. But love to hear your perspectives below, as always, my friends. Your thoughts on the game, thoughts on DJ, the offensive line, the defense. I'm always happy to hear your perspectives and respond in the comments below, as always. Make sure to like and subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants episode.